I've been doing a ton of customer research and asking you guys, what are you really struggling with when it comes to getting started with creating video content? And a lot of people say that they're struggling with their message, determining what their brand is in the first place and how to take that three-dimensional version of yourself and boil it down into a two-dimensional brand. So today I have my friend Taylor Liu here, and she is a personal brand extraordinaire in my eyes. I'm going to have her introduce herself in a second here, but we're going to be diving deep into personal branding and helping you eliminate the obstacles that are currently in your path. I'm Amanda Horvath, and I'm all about helping business owners and entrepreneurs leverage the power of video without breaking the bank or taking up tons of their time. So if you're looking to use video in your strategy this year, then be sure to subscribe and click the bell to be notified every time I release a new video. So we're just going to dive straight in today, and I have to say we are outside. It is an absolutely beautiful day, but there are cars, there are airplanes, there are even people hitting golf balls.
Yes.
So we apologize for any audio interruptions, but we are getting you guys some top quality information here, so stick around. So let's start off by introducing yourself. Who are you? What is it that you do?
Awesome. Thanks for having me today, Amanda, and nice to meet all of you. My name is Taylor Liu, as Amanda said, and I am a lifestyle design coach and business mentor, and I specialize in helping fempreneurs to reinvent themselves from the inside out and master the art and science of sustainable business expansion.
Yes. And she's actually right now embarking on a new venture yourself. I've been talking a ton about course creation and the freedom that comes along with course creation. So let's just quickly give it a quick plug right at the beginning, and then we'll dive into the value of personal branding or how to take steps forward with that as well. So
totally.
What is it that part of your business, how is that working?
Yeah, I'm so excited because I have been spending the last few months just pouring my heart and soul into a brand new course called Reinvent You. And it's really exactly as the name implies. It's helping service-based business owners to really reinvent themselves online through their personal brand. And what I love about this course is it's actually a perfect fit whether you are just getting started with your personal brand or for people who are more advanced in the process. Because I give two different paths. I give kind of a beginner path, DIY, you're working with a smaller budget, and then also for people who are looking to rebrand themselves. Maybe they feel like they've outgrown certain elements of their brand. Maybe they feel like it's just they're ready to invest in a more professional look and feel online. But I really lay out both of those paths in this course, which makes me super excited because I don't see a lot of similar courses doing something like this.
I love it. So if that sounds up your alley and you want to learn more, there's a link in the description below this video. But right now, what I want to do is dive into the 3 mistakes that a lot of people make when it comes to personal branding. So let's talk about it.
Yes. So I actually calculated the other day how long I've been studying personal branding, marketing, social media, and it's 11 years. 11 years I've been working and studying about these things. And through that work and through my work with my clients, I found 3 big mistakes that people typically make or are apt to make when they begin their personal branding journey. Or really, no matter where they're at in the process, these mistakes can come up. Because I'm certainly guilty of these, and that's why I want to share these with you, because hopefully you won't have to make these same expensive mistakes as I did.
And I'm sure I've made them too.
Yeah, they're pretty common. But the first one, just to kick things off, is to brand yourself based on what you think is working for other people online. So this is a big one I see because there's a fine line between being inspired by other people's brands and becoming a bit of a copycat. And what happens is if you just look to other people to build your brand, at the end of the day, it's not you. And that becomes very obvious to your audience. It feels like there's something incongruent, there's something inauthentic. and it doesn't work. And just because it's working for Susie Q and getting thousands of likes and followers and whatnot does not mean it's gonna work for you if that's not your most authentic expression.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's really key. Just trying to find. Now, here's a thought about that, because when you're first getting started, sometimes it can be challenging to start from scratch, right? So sometimes it can be really nice to take a framework and then put your own unique expression into that. So how would you say, if you're just starting out and you're looking at all the different people and you're like, oh, this person, I really resonate with their start, like their Instagram and how they're doing it here, and this person, how would you navigate that process? Like, when do you know that you're genuinely copying someone else? And when do you know that you're just taking that inspiration, like you said?
That's a great question. And I think for me, the very first step, no matter where you're at with either branding or rebranding yourself, is deep diving into personal identity. So if you really start out, and this is kind of a personal development lens or framework, but if you really start out by asking the big and challenging questions like, who am I? And what is my mission? What is my purpose?
Simple questions.
Very simple, very simple. What am I convicted about? How can I help people? If you start out by answering those questions for yourself, then you can look around at other brands in terms of market research and say, okay, I like these colors, or I like the way they're formatting their Instagram posts, or I like their website. But if you don't first dive into the identity piece, it's very quickly going to tip into the arena of copycat versus, oh, I like how they did this, I'm going to use this as a framework.
100%. Yes, I think that's such a good thing. Yeah, a good approach to it. And I think that a lot of people, when they're first diving into that, what they might do is they might build their personal brand based on the future or who they are in this moment, which brings us to
the next tip. It's almost like you know these tips.
I do.
Yes.
And this one's real good, y'all, so I'm excited to chat about this.
Yeah, so the second biggest mistake I see business owners make when it comes to personal branding is they try to brand themselves, or especially rebrand themselves, based on a recent personal discovery or breakthrough. And I actually want to give a personal example of this because I made a very multi-$1,000 mistake doing this exact thing because I went through a period of time where I was doing, I was actually in my NLP certification, which is neuro-linguistic programming, and I was just having a lot of insights about who I am as a person, and I realized that I wanted to be perceived online with more of like a fierceness or an edge. And more than anything, I wanted my audience to know that I had the depth capable of really holding them in their own limiting beliefs and working through their fears and self-doubt. And so I decided to turn that personal breakthrough into a whole new brand. And I invested so much money in a new website and new brand identity kit, like the whole 9 yards, graphics, photo shoot. And after everything was said and done, everything looked really cool. Like it was really well done branding. You remember this, right?
I remember. It was great. It was like this fierce,
super edgy,
like kind of sexy, kind of, yeah.
Yeah, and it looked amazing. Like aesthetically, it was very cool. And at the end of the day, it's not me. It's not my true core essence. And I think most people, when they meet me, they would describe me as warm and welcoming and inviting and fun-loving and nurturing. And I wasn't getting any of that in this new brand. And so it only took me like probably 2 months after I completely redid everything. I had a new brand launch, like everything. And a couple months later, and I was like, this isn't me. This is not me. This was something that I was uncovering more about myself in the moment, and it was a part of myself. That fierceness, that depth is certainly a part of me. But it's not a good thing to create a whole brand based on like one small part of who you are.
Mm-hmm. I can so relate to this because I've recently had a big breakthrough that I've been working through behind the scenes as well. So one of the branding elements of video is creating your explainer statement, which is that one sentence that you say over and over again to communicate to your audience who you are, right? So I wanted to bring more femininity into mine. And it's like, right now, leverage the power of video without breaking the bank or taking up tons of your time. Like, I was like, oh, I help soul entrepreneurs or conscious entrepreneurs do X, Y, and Z. And I kept trying to put more and more woo into it in a way. And I've recently had a breakthrough in that sometimes, even if that is a part of who you are, it's not the thing that will initially hook someone into your audience. Like, there's a balance between marketing and branding where like it will hook the person where they need to be hooked, right? And that like essence of who you are. It's interesting, like weaving those two together. It's that balancing act between the two. So how do we find that balance? What is like one tip that you could give to today? You can go and you can do this, pull out a piece of paper or something like that that might be helpful.
Yeah, so I have a full exercise in my course that I'm really proud of that helps you create your brand words based on your most natural and consistent essence. So I'm not gonna give away that whole exercise right here on this video, but I will give you a little piece of it, is to really think about a time where you felt most like yourself in your life, or you felt the most expressed or the most you. For me, it was probably between the ages of 5 and maybe 11. And I think back to that little girl who was just so bold and vibrant and self-expressed, and she just said whatever she wanted to say, whatever was on her mind. She dressed in these like really ridiculous clothes, almost always in costume. And when I think about that little girl, like that feels like the core of me. Like that is very much who I am today. And obviously there's a lot more layers on top of that as I've gotten older. But for those of you who are watching this video, I think that's a key takeaway here, is think about a quality. Maybe it's even one quality that you feel like you've carried with you your entire life. Like for me, vibrancy is a quality that I've had my whole life, part of which is because I have bright red hair. So I've always been very colorful and vibrant just naturally, and I've always had a big personality. So when I think about the way that I've curated my brand now, that vibrancy is a core part of the brand. And so when I rebranded myself based on something that was happening in the now, I lost all of that vibrancy, which if I had done an exercise like I just described, I don't think I would have made that mistake.
Yeah, that's so good. I always talk about like looking at your past and look at the patterns that continuously are popping up. And I think that's so in alignment with it. Okay, I absolutely love it. So now let's move on to the third mistake. What is that?
Awesome. So the third mistake is when people brand themselves based on who they want to be versus who they are. And let me add a caveat to this, saying looking to your aspirational self, your best self, your highest self, is actually a great tool to use when creating your personal brand. But I think the mistake can be when you base the brand purely on that. And then what happens is when people meet you or experience you in real life, it's completely different than the way that you've represented yourself online. So of course, you want to put your best foot forward online. And at the same time, you want to make sure that your day-to-day, like who you are in this moment, is congruent with the way that you're showing up online.
Yeah, I think that's where a lot of the imposter syndrome comes in to play. If you're projecting that you're a different person because you feel like you need to for some reason. I think there's this feeling that you need to show up perfectly in front of your audience. And the thing is, like, you don't want to do that. Like,
no,
because
no one resonates with that.
No one resonates with that, but also you're creating more anxiety in your life, and that's definitely not something that you want to do.
It's exhausting trying to be someone you're not. And
Yeah.
it's exhausting, even just creating like Instagram stories and YouTube videos and whatever content you're creating online. If you feel like you have to fully step into a different persona to be able to deliver on that, that's exhausting.
Yeah, which I think is just across the board on all three of these. It's branding is taking the essence of who you truly are, not turning it into something that you're not right yet, or that you think that you might be, but really boiling down, okay, who am I? And asking yourself those deep questions, right? The quality of life that you live is the equivalent to the quality of questions that you ask. And I think that that's so perfect with personal branding too. So I appreciate you being here, and I just want to give a quick shout out for, once again, if you guys are interested in really deep diving into personal branding, then be sure to check out Reinvent You with Taylor Lou, and that is linked in the description below. If this video was helpful, be sure to click like, drop a comment below letting us know, and thank you for being here, Taylor.
Thanks for having me.
We'll see you in the next video.